This is the Stooges by the Stooges. Let's talk records. It is October 1968 in Ann Arbor, Michigan. A new band plays their first chaotic gig, billing themselves as the Psychedelic Stooges. Their sound is primal, hypnotic, and totally uncommercial. But they don't care. They want to rip rock and roll apart. The Stooges were born out of the rough late 60s Michigan scene, fronted by Iggy Pop, real name James Osterberg. They rejected the polished, virtuosic rock and roll emerging around them. Iggy was obsessed with raw power and control. He said his big revelation was seeing the Doors live, watching Jim Morrison completely dominate the crowd. Iggy wanted the same command, but he wanted it scarier. In 1967, before the Stooges existed, Iggy was drumming in an Ann Arbor blues band called the Prime Movers. They nicknamed him Iggy after his first band, the Iguanas. But he was restless. He quit and began experimenting with minimalist droning jams, inspired by John Coltrane and the hypnotic repetition of Sun Ra. The early Stooges lineup featured Iggy Pop on vocals, Ron Asheton on guitar, his brother Scott Asheton on drums, and Dave Alexander on bass. Their goal? Reduce rock and roll to something primal. Their live shows were infamous from the start. By early 1969, word of the Stooges' raw live act had spread. They played with the MC5, Detroit's other notorious band. MC5 had just signed with Elektra Records and convinced Elektra's Danny Fields to see the Stooges. Legend says they played so bad at the audition, Fields didn't even want to sign them. But Iggy insisted they were better than that. They got the deal anyway. When it came to record their debut album in New York, they were completely unprepared. Elektra Records originally wanted 10 songs, but the Stooges only had 5. So Iggy and Ron Asheton made up 2 of them, We Will Fall and Ann, on the spot in the studio. The producer was John Cale of the Velvet Underground. He was hired specifically to capture the raw sound. Cale recorded them in just a couple of days at the Hit Factory in New York City. He tried to keep things minimal. One mic on the drums, guitars at deafening volume. He even encouraged the weird droning in We Will Fall, which featured chanting and violin to create a menacing hypnotic effect. But Elektra thought the initial mix was too primitive, even for them. They had the band remix the record. Even then, it was way too raw for 1969 radio. When the Stooges was finally released on August 5th, 1969, it landed like a bomb. Critics mostly hated it. It didn't sell well at all. Elektra didn't even expect it to. Over time, though, the Stooges has become one of the most influential albums in rock and roll history. Songs like I Want to Be Your Dog and No Fun would be covered by everyone, from Sid Vicious to Sonic Youth. The raw power, the nihilistic attitude, the reduction of rock and roll to 3 chords and aggression. All of it laid the blueprint for punk rock and alternative music. Rolling Stone magazine ranked the album number 185 on their 500 greatest albums of all time list in 2003 and 2012. It went down to number 488 on the 2020 Revisited list. Today is recognized as a landmark. Ugly, beautiful, and essential.
And now I wanna be your dog. And now I wanna